Welcome to this episode of our program, Daily Debate. We will be discussing an important debate as usual. Today we'll be speaking about the participation of the Foreign Minister, Foreign Minister Samah Shukri, to Gabon in the Climate Week for Africa, the ACW 2022. During which he met with a number of senior Gabonese officials and discussed ways to enhance bilateral cooperation and coordination between Egypt and Gabon in various fields, particularly what concerns the climate change, since the event is a key step on the road towards the COP27, which is hosted by Egypt and will be held by late November in Egypt at the sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. We'll be focusing on that. We'll be focusing on the climate change effect and how Egypt is taking preparatory meetings and holding meetings with all partners, world partners and regional and continental partners in order to prepare for such an important conference to be taking place in Egypt. We'll be focusing on that. Before we delve into our discussion, let me first take the top stories of the day. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held on Monday a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of International Cooperation Rania al-Mashrat. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that the meeting reviewed efforts of the Ministry of International Cooperation in recruiting soft developmental finance for the climate change file. In this context, President Sisi instructed to support the national programs that boost the climate action and to foster the international partnership to create a successful national example in accordance with Egypt's goals concerning the climate issue. During the meeting, Al-Mashrat tackled the cooperation process with the international development partners within the framework of the National Platform for Climate Change and Green Project Investments. She said that the platform, which is considered a national and regional program, links international climate challenges with development issues. The minister also reviewed the latest preparations for Egypt's Forum for International Cooperation and Developmental Finance, which will be held in the new administrative capital in September. And to highlight the issue, we have with us over the phone Dr. Khaled Fahmy, former Minister of Environment. Good evening to you, sir. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good evening to you, Dr. Khaled.
Good evening, ma'am. Sorry, I can badly hear you.
I'll try to raise my voice as much as possible.
Oh, sorry for that.
Now, we're here discussing an important meeting the President held with the Minister of International Cooperation, Rania al-Mashrat, with the concerns of recruiting soft developmental finance for climate change file. How important is that meeting? What are the preparations Egypt is doing in this concern?
One of the major issue and of discussion and of deliberation in all COPs, and particularly it will be in COP27, is the issue of climate finance. It's all about who bears the cost of mitigation and adaptation. Especially under the economic crisis that the world is facing at the moment, and with the Russian-Ukrainian war, and with the still COVID impacting a lot of economies, and particularly China, this become a real issue because there was a lot of pledges that were made during Glasgow, the COP26. And now there is a debate whether the world will be able to meet its pledges, which, by the way, only covers 60% of the reduction in emission needed. So we are already 40% behind our goals. We don't know if this will impact the implementation of the pledges, or would we be successful in raising ambitions and bringing the remaining the resources for the remaining 40% reduction in emissions. So this meeting really comes in time, and particularly that Egypt is, as a host and president of COP27, is also representing the developing world point of view, which is calling for more flow of resources and technology, and will be presenting the case of the third world countries in a situation which is not very preferable for reaching an agreement on this.
We're speaking here
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, definitely. I can hear you very well, sir.
I hope I did answer the question rightly, because really I didn't hear the question very clearly.
Well, you did. You did. If I'm clear enough, or my voice is clear enough, can you hear me well, sir? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. So we're speaking here about insecurities and challenges vis-a-vis life, because it's all about...
Can you repeat this again, speaking on?
I'm speaking about insecurities and challenges of the challenges that we are passing by that have reflected on our region and continents vis-a-vis life itself, because climate change is life itself. So how far or how do you view Egypt's strategy put forward for the climate change or COP27 conference at this upcoming summit?
Well, I'll try to answer as much as I was able to hear.
Yes.
Guys, but I mean, the last year, I think there is no doubt among the laymen as well as the experts that climate change risks are real and are true, and we are facing this at the moment. And we still are by 1.2 increase in the temperature, and our goal is 1.5. And so there is a real threat in terms of physical threats. But the real threat is not only the climate, but it's whether we will be able to work together to meet this collectively, because we are all suffering from climate change, regardless of whether our contribution or each country contribution, we are all suffering. Egypt and Africa is producing less than 3% of the total emission, but we are the ones that are mostly vulnerable to impact of climate. At the same time, we have to bring money and bring a lot of resources to address the mitigation that we are supposed to bring, and at the same time, we are facing the traditional development problems and challenges. So climate change comes to us with an additional burden. This is why Egypt will be and has already been talking and addressing the issue of that the developed world meets its pledges and go beyond, and the need for the provision of technology and financial resources to the developing world, so that we can meet our commitments and we can mitigate the impact of the climate crisis. That's an important role that Egypt will be playing in the negotiation. The Ministry of International Cooperation and actually the minister in Davos has presented an initiative for financing climate change, for just finance climate change, for fair and equal climate finances, and I'm presuming that will be one of the initiatives that they will be presented and discussed in COP27.
Right. Your Excellency, Dr. Khaled Fahmy, former Minister of Environment, we thank you so much for being with us over the phone and for your great input here. And from the domestic meetings and the keenness of the President himself to follow up with the developmental finances for the climate change file and his instructions to support the national programs that boost the climate action, and his follow-up with our contacts and communication, or the government's communication with the international partners to create a successful national example. We move on to another important meeting Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry has been holding today, and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry on Monday hailed the African Climate Week in Gabon as an important platform to spell out African suffering brought about by climate crisis. Addressing the opening session of the week in his capacity as the designate President of the UN Climate Conference COP27, Shoukry said the African continent is the worst hit by climate change, and that the upcoming COP conference in Sharm el-Sheikh should be a starting point to collective work to face the crisis. The top diplomat said the world is facing mounting changes due to geopolitical factors coupled with energy crises, and renewed commitment to ensure COP27 will meet aspirations. Shoukry said many pledges were made to handle the climate change problem, and they should be adhered to, adding that use of renewable energy sources should be enhanced in order to bring balance to carbon emissions. The Foreign Minister estimated that Africa needs $300 billion to handle the fallout of climate change. The African Climate Week, which continues to September 1st, is organized by the United Nations. And moving on, on the sidelines of the meeting, Shoukry met with Gabonese President Ali Bongo in the Libreville on Monday. The Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Hafiz said that the meeting focused on means of enhancing cooperation between Egypt and Gabon in various domains. Hafiz added that the minister is scheduled to meet a number of senior Gabonese officials to discuss several regional and international issues of common concerns.